Hey, welcome to another episode of Mars Talks. Even though I kind of hate the name of my YouTube channel because I'm the Mars King and it should be the Mars King, but it's not the Mars King. It's the Mars Talks because we talk on Mars because I'm the King of Mars. Anyway, I have my friend, longtime friend since I don't know kindergarten, I guess, Gabriel James Funk, or as I like to call him back in the day, E-Bag. Say hi, Gabriel or Gabe.
What's up?
Yeah, that's his voice. um, yeah, we're gonna be talking about stuff. We decided to talk about sci-fi and fantasy and stuff since we're both into that. That's one thing where we heavily overlap. So I guess I'll lead the conversation. So sci-fi, fantasy. What is your favorite sci-fi?
I think probably Star Wars just because it's so big. But we're excluding like the new three because those were kind of
Well, yeah, the
eh.
new three sucked.
Like,
I mean, the first one was pretty good.
yeah, if they kept the same director for eight and then they didn't have him come back to fix the train wreck of plot for nine, then
Yeah,
it would have been
because
pretty
it
solid.
was it was an absolute mess. It just a lot of this stuff just didn't make any sense.
Yeah, like they
Um,
introduced Snoke and he just had no plot, no
it was just like,
story,
oh
and then
yeah,
he just
Snoke's dead.
died.
And it was just like, what? What? You didn't do anything with him. Everybody was having theories that he was like Mace Windu or something, and it was just like, no, he's nobody. He's just
Yeah.
a clone in a vat of acid or cloning fluid, whatever that was. But my favorite sci-fi, um, that's a good question because when it comes to gameplay, my favorite sci-fi is probably Halo. But when it comes to like just story and stuff I'm able to follow and really get into, it's definitely Star Wars. I'm a big Star Wars guy. I probably know more Star Wars than whoever's listening to this does. Um, I read the now non-canon Legends books. Gabe did
Yeah,
too.
I remember those.
Yeah. I thought it was just amazing. Uh,
Mhm.
but how about what's your favorite fantasy?
Fantasy, I mean, it's kind of generic, but Lord of the Rings, like, is such a cool, like, world. Like, of course, there's so many different modern takes on it and so many evolutions, but that's kind of like where it all stemmed or came from, you know?
Yeah, absolutely for real actually. So, honestly, I'm not sure what my favorite fantasy is. I mean Lord of the Rings is probably what I know most about and I definitely don't know that much about it. I mean I watch lore videos on it and stuff like that, but just getting the full scope of the world is very difficult, unless you read like the entire Cimmerillion, which is
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous.
I've read some of it, and it's so, like, draining to read
It's
because
just
there's just so
it's like
much content.
it's like reading an encyclopedia instead of an actual like story.
Yeah. And it's so crazy because it's on such a larger scope than The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings,
Yeah,
and it's
like
which
there's
makes it so much harder to grasp.
there's like elves that have like flying ships that like fought mountain-sized dragons and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's another thing, but it's really cool because like even think about like that's kind of where D&D like everything came from, and so many video games based off of D&D.
Well,
You
yeah,
know,
it's just like you either steal or you copy and you make it your own in the process. And eventually you just
yeah.
mutate so much. Um, hmm. I just thought of another fantasy world, but it's kind of strange. So I'm sure you've heard of H.P. Lovecraft. Uh, I've been listening to some of his works. I listened to Shadow over Innsmouth. That was very, very good, actually. It was actually pretty thrilling, especially once it picked up, and it wasn't just rambling on and on about like jewelry and stuff. But it just I feel like his work is very polarizing. Either it's incredibly boring and slow, and it's like the slow burn thing that scared like grown men back in like the 30s or whatever, or it's something
Hmm.
that's like incredibly bizarre and just like captures your fascination immediately. Shadow over Innsmouth, did that for me. I remember like I was listening to an audiobook of it. And I don't know if you've ever read Shadow over Innsmouth, but it's about like this dude who's vacationing around the United States or whatever, and he goes to this town, and he like everybody's like, oh, everybody hates normal people in this town. They're very cult like. He's like, oh, I'm gonna go anyway, and he goes, and it's very cult like, and he's very thrown off by it because it's very cult like, and he's like, I'm gonna get to the bottom of this. And eventually he figures out that spoiler warning, everybody there's like half fish or whatever, and they worship Cthulhu, blah blah blah. But he finds out, and then like they just like and they like try to break into his hotel, and he's just like freaking out, and it's like this, it's incredibly lame when I say it out loud, but when you read it, it's really cool because it's like he's having like a panic attack, and like these people and the fish people are trying to break down his door to his hotel door, and he has to like run from hotel room to hotel room because all the hotel rooms had like doors next to each other back then or something, and they had to like outwit them and like lock the doors and run through and out and lock the doors and push beds against the windows, and he had to like make it to this one hotel door that was like a fire escape, and he finally made it, and it was like it really got you going instead of it being this boring thing that I'm explaining right now, but
Yeah,
that's a pretty good fantasy word. I don't know if I could call it fantasy, more like dark horror or eldritch horror.
yeah.
But
Kind of reminds me of like something that would happen in Ben 10, except darker, like Scooby Doo kind of mystery.
oh yeah, yeah. I'm sure Scooby Doo was somewhat inspired by it, even if it's inadvertently. um but yeah, I mean, so now that we're talking sci-fi, I mean, if we're gonna talk sci-fi again, I feel like there's a whole realm of sci-fi that I wasn't thinking of, and maybe you weren't thinking of, but that's like anime sci-fi,
That I thought about it for a minute. Yeah,
because like you have like Akira, which is like this heavily cyberpunk sort of world. You have
hmm
okay, of course the Gundam series, which I've never actually watched because it looks incredibly daunting. There's like
yeah. I
4,000
haven't
different
either.
series.
But or you could even think about like the whole entire isekai genre. You know?
Yeah, just like being somewhere else, being in another world. Um, that's very true. And then sci-fi. I mean, like, what would you? Because of course, my one of my big favorites is Hunter x Hunter. Would you consider that a sci-fi or a fantasy, or would you consider it something else
Um,
altogether?
I mean, they have advanced technology, but that's not the premise of the show. Like, it's not the main thing, so it'd probably be fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, fa- that that works. Fantasy makes probably more sense, especially with the whole Nen and Hatsu and Ren and Ten and all the other N sounding words.
Yeah, but
Uh,
man, I wish they like continued that. I got back like into the manga after, like the anime ended, and it's just like it's not the same.
well, yeah, it's because we're not following Gon anymore. We're following like Hisoka and Karapika, and like the dude's taking forever because he's lazy, and he says his back hurts, even though his back really really doesn't hurt. He's just being lazy.
Yeah,
Um,
like,
but yeah, I do
but
wish they had continued it or kept going. I mean, we could probably get like OVAs for like spoiler warning, but like Hisoka's fight with Crollo.
yeah, I think they could have done at least some like extended stuff, like not maybe not a full fledged movie because I know like that's a lot of what other anime do afterwards, but just something small like, hey, here's a something else that happens.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
I think
like
that's just,
even his
or go
wife
ahead.
is like, "Hey, you want me to help you?" He's like, "No, no." And his wife is like the lady who created Sailor Moon, so she's very much qualified to help out.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
he's just lazy.
Yeah, that's like one of the things that like I kind of wish anime did a little different is like there's just so many things that have a lot of potential but are like one season or two. Um, like No Game No Life, like they deviated so much from the plot of the light novel that they literally just couldn't continue after a season because they jumped it because they were getting too much hype.
It
So
was too far off to even like continue being the light novel, right?
yeah, so and like a lot of the times the problem's funding, but I don't know. I just wish there was sometimes I just kept it going more.
I get that. Um, so if you had to choose, if I mean, okay, if you let's maybe this is a little off topic, maybe not, but we flow. If you could choose a sci-fi world or a relativistically sci-fi world to live in, what would it be?
Oh, sci-fi.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, let's presume that you're going to live safely and happily in this world, and if there's any sort of negative cataclysm, you're just an observer of it and not actively affected by it. Because I feel like most sci-fi's, it's like some sort of incredibly dangerous world event that's going on or something like that.
Yeah. Trying to think, and honestly, Star Wars would probably be one of the cool ones. But like, it depends on if I'm like just your average Joe or if like I can actually do something. Because
Uh,
if I'm just some
if you're
one
just
of
some
the
nobody that like just hangs around Coruscant, it's gonna be pretty boring.
yeah, like I wouldn't want to do that. But if I could go and be like a Jedi, or maybe be like a cool pilot, or even like someone important in any of the big factions, like that'd be really fun.
Yeah, I mean, for me, because here's the thing. I am absolutely fascinated by the world of Blade Runner. I don't know if you've seen that movie or not. The
Yeah,
1980.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard lots of good things.
You should really. It's really you should see Blade Runner. It's really good. But just the world that they display, especially within like the first 5 minutes of the movie, is incredibly mysterious and beautiful and like grimy, but amazing at the same time. And I feel like I could just like exist in that world, as just somebody who lives a normal, safe, happy life that I'm able to be content with. I feel like that'd be pretty cool. But of course, Star Wars too. If I could be like a, I don't know, force sensitive or something, that'd be pretty cool. You know, um,
Hmm.
or maybe be a bounty hunter. You know, that'd be really cool. How about
Yeah.
fantasy worlds?
See, oh, there's so many good fantasies. Like I watch way more fantasy than I do sci-fi. Um, I think of the few that come to mind. Like, have you seen Log Horizon?
No, but I you can run it down for me.
It's an isekai, but like, and they come from a video game world, but it's
Okay.
constantly evolving after the video game, and it's really
Isn't that called
like
Overlord? I thought that was like Overlord.
no. Overlord is another really cool one, but that one's different.
Okay.
Um, I think yeah, that'd probably be the cool one, just because of how much the world changes and like you never know what to expect, and there's so much happening.
Hmm.
Um, and like the rules of the world are ever expanding. And there's already a ton of cool stuff. So
For me, I'm not sure because the first thing that came to mind was like, hmm, oh, this is tough. There's there's so many good options. Um, but for fantasy, I wouldn't want it to be Lord of the Rings because Lord of the Rings is like really boring if you're just a normal person.
yeah, for real.
Like it's just like, oh, I live in the Shire and I live every single day of my life in the Shire doing nothing but like, I don't know,
Eating
eating and
eating
being
second
happy.
and third breakfast.
Yeah. And being harassed by your neighbors. Um I mean like ooh, I forgot something. Okay. I want to change my sci-fi world. I want my sci-fi world to be Samurai Jack. Samurai Jack. Oh my god, I want to live in that world. It's so cool. I don't know if you've seen Samurai Jack or not, but
I don't think
oh
so.
my god. Okay, well, I think it's on Hulu. Watch the first season, and then you can just skip to the fifth season if you want to.
All right.
But it's good. It's real good. Awesome, awesome world.
All right.
Um, but for fantasy, I want to live in a world where there's like magic and stuff, and you can aspire to be a magician or something. I don't know. um, I don't want to say Hunter x Hunter because that's like cheating at this point.
Yeah.
Pokemon, that doesn't really count. That's something different. Um,
True.
man, this is tough. Uh, fantasy. Come on, come on. I have like my memory is so huge. I can't, and I know I've played like a billion different fantasy games. Why can't I think of anything right this moment?
I mean, are you thinking like an Elder Scrolls kind of thing, or
Yes, yes. Elder Scrolls. Yes, yes. That's what I want to do. Elder Scrolls. Put me in Hammerfell. You know, let me be a red guard with my scimitar and magic and all that. An adventurer. I think that'd be pretty cool. I want to live in the Elder Scrolls world.
yeah, Elder Scrolls and Skyrim was a fun game. Like,
Skyrim was fun only the first time, and then the second time it's kind of like, oh man, I gotta play this game again. I gotta go through that first area again. I gotta go through Bleak Falls Barrow again. I gotta join the Mages Guild again. And they're all just. And the thing is that I feel like if I could like respec my character, it would be way way better.
oh yeah,
Because I don't want to have to keep making different saves and creating all these characters over and over and over again, and having to do these incredible. I mean, once you do the quest once, it's kind of like it's never the same again. You know, especially if you're
yeah,
playing like a. Because I know a lot of people are just tempted to play a sneak build. And I try to spice it up by using like illusion magic and making people fight each other and just watching. But it's so boring. You got to like get in there, and getting in
yeah.
there, is it's a lot of hard work.
I did a sneaks bow build like my first playthrough, and it was fun because you got so much stuff. Like you could steal. This is before they patched stealing from merchants.
What do you mean,
Uh,
like putting the bucket over their head?
no, like you could have them level you up and then steal back all your gold if you're high enough level.
Uh huh. And you could just do it
But
infinitely.
yeah, but they patched it,
Okay.
or they did something patch where you couldn't steal back from them,
Okay.
which kind of sucked. Um, but anyway, so like I was a sneak bow build, and that was really fun. But like after a while, everything was the same. Like I would just crouch and then one
Just
hit like everybody.
yeah. It's like you really got to put some effort into playing the game if you want it to be fun. Um. Yeah. So I mean, if you could create your own fantasy world, what would it look like?
Oh, that's a good question.
I can go first if you want me to. So you have some, so you can actually think about it and get some
Yeah,
ideas.
yeah. All right, go ahead.
All right. So my fantasy world would be like an archipelago. It's just a ton of islands, like
Mm-hmm.
the Philippines, or the Caribbean, or really anywhere where there's an archipelago. Um, but I would have these worlds. I would have I would have each, you know, I'd have each world. I'd have each island have its own culture and race. So and there's just like hundreds of different islands and stuff like that. And there's adventurers that just go island hopping, finding adventures, getting artifacts, pissing off locals. Just stuff like that. And I want there to be magic, and I want there to be like a very very hard magic system where you have to do X, Y, and Z for this magic to work, no exceptions. Um, there's no such thing as a chosen one. Nobody's any higher than anybody else. It's just a matter of cunning and skill and being in the right place at the right time. And of course, there'd be like different islands allied with each other and factions and bounty hunters and uh, you know monsters to fight. And you know every island I would say isn't like humongous, but is like maybe the size of like I, I don't know the Upper Peninsula. Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Uh, and
So
we just do island stuff. And
yeah,
we there's different races and species and uh there's magic and stuff, but it's not like it's hidden from anybody. You just got to learn it. And there's like different colleges and stuff like that, and different organizations and guilds, and there's islands at war with each other. There's mercenaries. um and if I had to give it a story, I would have it be like the story of you know uh this dude. He's already an adventurer. He's experienced. He's in his late 20s. He's gone on a couple adventures, and he hears this. I'm gonna call my anime Rising Tide. Oh, that's a good anime name for my
all right, all
or a
right.
fantasy name for my archipelago adventure. But it's gonna be called Rising Tide, and basically there's gonna be like whispers of an island which has this like cancerous life form on it, and it just expands outward and outward. It's consumed. It's devoured hundreds, if not thousands, of islands. And it's getting closer and closer. And this world is just nothing but islands. So it's not like thousands is particularly large, but it's still something to be worried about. And so he just goes on the adventure to see what it's about. Along the way, he tries to learn magic so he can actually be a better adventurer. He's just a novice. He's a master swordsman, novice magician. Let's just say that. And he gains allies. He loses friends. He makes hard decisions. And I want my anime to have this like this Hunter x Hunter tone where it's very playful and beautiful looking, but it can be very, very dark at times. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe he's on this island and like the locals like are like, you've trespassed, you must lose a limb like anybody. And he's like, except your limb will be one of your companions. And they like capture one of his companions, and he has to like choose like which companion dies or something like that. And like
Yeah,
except like they're like, we're not gonna kill him. He's not. We're not gonna kill him. We're just gonna like let him go. And it's just and then like maybe that companion comes back like somewhere down the story, and he just has this seething hatred for you know whatever our adventurous name is, and he tries to kill him or fight him or something. I don't know. Or maybe he usurps the hive mind that is this cancerous island hopping life form that's growing larger and larger, and he becomes the mind. I don't know, but I think that's the skeleton of my fantasy. How about you?
um, I think I would take a lot of aspects from different like isekai I've watched, um, but I think one of the core aspects would be like like Star Wars. There's mitochondrial counts or whatever. Like there's no necessary aptitude like you're born with for magic or whatever.
Hmm.
But I think it'd kind of take like the idea for uh whatever the dude in Hunter x Hunter Kurapika is like how like she had or
He,
had to train.
yeah.
He, my bad, dude. That had me tripped up for the longest
I
time.
know. I remember when you first like was like, "That's a she, right?" I was like, "No, that's a dude," and you were just thrown off by that.
Yeah, but anyway, like he had to train with a chain for like a long time, right?
Hmm.
So like it's kind of like that thing, and it's almost like a science, but you just can manipulate the laws of science, but you have to understand it.
So
You
like
know?
how he has a vow on himself that if he uses his chains on anybody but the spiders, he'll die or something like that, and it makes him
Yeah.
stronger.
Yeah, kind of, but like you have to like if you want to use fire magic, you have to understand where fire comes from.
You have
Like
to understand the science behind fire.
yeah, or if you want to create ice, you have to understand how the heat transfer works, or something like or if
So
you
you
want
have
to
to be like
create.
you have to understand the physics and the chemistry of everything you're doing down to a T before you're able to truly use it.
Uh huh.
Okay, that makes sense.
So like, but you also have so there's no innate aptitude by any one person, but there's also which creates a high rigor system, so you have to be pretty specialized. But that also goes the same for like normal jobs like a blacksmith or whatever else people are doing, which I think creates kind of a more feeling of like an MMO because that's something that is only present there.
Hmm.
Um,
So you just have to specialize yourself.
yeah, but I think that'd be a cool, implementation. But there's magic, there's obviously sword skills, and you can do more than just basic sword fighting or whatever. But you can learn abilities, but you have to, study and figure stuff out.
So this is this like an is it isekai or is this like an actual world?
No, this is kind of like an actual world. But I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of talking. I haven't really thought about it too much.
Hmm.
But I think one of the ideas I really liked from um, Log Horizon was that so the world was originally on like a half scale of Earth, so which is pretty dope. The kind of spoiler, but the world starts to grow
Hmm.
back to like towards normal
Hmm.
at a very very slow rate. But I think like having a half scale world would be like pretty dope
Hmm.
because I mean for so many different reasons you could have cultures and stuff from everywhere. It wouldn't be like obviously the technology of that we have everywhere, but it would be still in the world. So you'd have like the United States and Canada, and you'd have all these different places and all these different climates. Then you'd have
It's
to
just
figure out how
closer
to.
together.
Yeah, it would be closer together, and it also wouldn't be like I don't know if you've seen this, but like the Mercator projection is like awful. Like it makes like the America's like huge and everything else kind of small. But like it would be like more close, and the oceans would probably be a little less small. Just um, and who knows? Maybe there's a civilization under the ocean. Like just there isn't really a limit to what can happen. It's just a matter of putting in the extreme effort.
Mm. Okay, so it's like a Hunter x Hunter world, but everything is much more mechanical in nature.
Yeah, because like I don't know. I remember the thing at the tower where like the whatever the dude that kind of felt like he sucked because Gon and Killua were really good, and uh, the teacher dude, he was just like, no, they're just like one in a trillion if you're one in a million or whatever.
Yeah.
Like there's those exceptions don't exist unless you've put in like the extreme dedication and like years. So you're not really this untouchable being until like you're an old dude
Yeah,
because
so it's
you've
like
accumulated it.
unless you've been like grinding your whole life, you're no more special than anybody else.
Yeah, and even like if you have an insane teacher who has done that, like you can't just inherit their stuff because you train with it. You still have to study it and put in the time. So you might get a little bit of like acceleration from that because you don't have to figure it out, but you still have to put in all the work.
Okay. All right. Well, I think you know where I'm leading with this, and that is a fantasy world, and not a fantasy, sci-fi world. I already have mine figured out. I was thinking of mine while you were talking.
All right.
But all right. So my sci-fi world. Um, I want my sci-fi world to be like um there's this giant civilian ship. Like it's huge. It's like the size of the United States or something. No, no, no. That's way too. That's way too large. Um, but it's It's I don't know. Let's say it's the size of I don't know, a U.S. state. Let's just choose Ohio. That's a pretty square looking state, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ohio's a square. Okay, let's just say Ohio. Um, and we're just flying. We're just going through space, and like we have like this backstory where Earth got blew up or something. I don't know. And these are like the last remnants, or supposedly the last remnants of humanity. And eventually, we land on this hospitable planet. And the thing is that the planet already has a species on it, and they're not as advanced as us, but they are still, on the same level of intelligence as us. They're just a bit more, bit less advanced than us, and it's like a story of, you know, tension and exploration and understanding each other, and just trying to cooperate without destroying each other in the process or things going too far. Like maybe like one of the people in their world, like grabs invades like a portion of this giant ship, you know, and and like starts a miniature act of terrorism, or maybe some of the aliens view us as gods or something, and they start a cult around us, or maybe a part of the ship, a faction in the ship, they open up a trade. They're like, hey, look, let's catch you up to speed. We want to be friends. We want to be allies. We want to make this good for us, and there's explorers out there, and I think I'd want my story to take place 100 years after the ship lands on this new planet. And so we're following the story of, I don't know, guy or girl whose grandma or great grandma is an elder on the ship. And this group of people, this faction has decided to reject technology and just live in the forest, or the jungles, or wherever they land, honestly, of the world, and just kind of have this very respectful, habitual relationship with their ecosystem. And it's like there's a plague going on, and she has to leave and find a cure and stuff like that. And she and like her grandma, I don't know, gives her some technology or something, like, hey, here's a bike. I don't know. I know you don't know what like a speeder bike is or whatever, but travel the direction of the third sun, and you'll find another group of people. Maybe she gets intercepted by aliens. I don't know, but I feel like that'd just be a start for an excellent world building, an excellent world. Um,
Yeah, that sounds pretty dope, man. At first, it kind of sounded like Avatar
yeah,
with like, but then it evolved into something like way cooler, like with a bigger adventure, and not like government controlled.
yeah, yeah. I was like, I realized like halfway through that I was like kind of just ripping off Avatar. I was like, oh, I can't do that. I can't go out like this. And then I like changed it up a little bit. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I want it to be like this world of this kind of like this new world like story, where it's just trying to find your way, and trying to, and just this individualism, and humanity as this parasite, or maybe it's benevolent. uh it's just everybody's perspective, and the aliens perspective, and just blah blah blah. And I wanted to take place 100 years after, so we don't have to go over the boring stuff. I want the world to already be built by the time the story takes place.
yeah,
So how
yeah.
about you?
I
If you
think I think it would
you can
still
go.
be on Earth.
Okay,
Uh,
stay on Earth.
but it would be pretty advanced. But so like, it'd be kind of like, Back to the Future, kind of like, you imagine like what it's like later. There's flying cars. There's technology is so advanced. Like you can literally have implants in your brain. You learn stuff. I kind of like that kind of advanced.
Mm-hmm.
But underneath like all that technology, like I don't know, something like really dark has been happening. Like I don't know, like they've been getting this technological advancements by some ancient civilization that crashed and is under the earth, and it's like some super secret organization. Um, and so it's kind of, I don't know, so that's kind of happening, but nobody realizes it. And then from there, it would kind of evolve. Like the story would be kind of like uncovering that and exposing it, but at the same time, it would be like learning and taking all that information and then building new stuff.
So would your character be like a detective or an adventurer, or maybe what would he be, or what would she
I
be?
think I mean, it's kind of generic, but I think it'd just be like some kid that accidentally made a discovery. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like they fell down a hole that they probably shouldn't have, but just pretty generic. But like, I think it's still hold it's generic and people use it for a reason. And then he has this group of friends, or whatever, and they figure stuff out. But yeah, I mean that's the majority of it. The world's like kind of crazy and like on the verge of collapse, so they've been exploring other places, and eventually, like after they figure out like what the heck's been happening on Earth, they go and search for the like remnants of that alien species that crashed, and keep developing technology and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I guess the main character would probably be like like a science dude, like who just kind of made a mistake, kind of like a Peter Parker, but not really. Like he's not undercover or anything.
Like he just so happened to be in the wrong place at the right time. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But like he's hella smart. He's got diverse friends. Like like the kind of generic group. Like you got the smart dude. It's kind of like the main character. Then you got the big buff guy that kind of just like he either doesn't talk or he's like always just saying stupid crap. Um, then you have the one friend that always goofs off and gets into trouble, uh, or like the Shaggy. Uh, so yeah, so I mean, I think that'd be pretty cool and kind of something different that I don't really haven't really seen. At least I don't think it's out there. But
All right. Hmm. I mean, that does sound pretty solid. I'm not gonna lie. Um, I could definitely see it going a lot of ways. Like maybe there's a malevolent artificial intelligence, in the core of the Earth, and they're soon going to enact their plan and like create this giant biomechanical mass. I don't know, but that sounds pretty solid. You know. Um, all
yeah,
right. Let me ask you. Let me ask you this: if you could meet anybody from any sci-fi or what's it called? What's it called? Fantasy. Who would it be, or what would it be? Or if you could, all
um,
right, let's okay. This is a better question. If you could take something from any sci-fi or fantasy and just have it as a just you own it now, what would it be? It can't be like
um,
something immaterial like Nen or something or the Force, but just something you can take home and like put up on your wall or something. I don't know. It can be as
um,
large or as small as you want it to be.
well, my first thought was a lightsaber because like who doesn't want a lightsaber? Um, but practically, I think I would take Cortana.
Oh my god. That is an excellent choice. Oh my god. That's actually amazing. That's stupidly amazing. I cannot you I'm okay, so I'm rarely caught off guard by what people say. But that like I just was not thinking of that at all. and you absolutely are gonna blow my answer or the answer I had out of the water. I was gonna say a Titan from Titanfall, but
Yeah, that's pretty good.
you said Cortana, and that's awesome. Like that's so cool. That's way better than a Titan from Titanfall. I would trade Cortana for a Titan for Titanfall any day. Um, but I mean, yeah, I originally I was gonna say a Titan. Just I don't even have to have like weapons or anything. Just like a little AI who has like dry humor, and then just
Mhm.
like I don't know, walks me to school or something. I don't know. Uh, I think that'd be pretty cool. Um, it'd be like a little a, a friend that lives out in my garage or something. I don't know. He's like, human, are you ready to go to school? I'm just like, yeah. Just then I just hop inside him. He's like, it seems there's a traffic jam. It's like, you can just like walk over them or something. You don't have to like be a car. It's like understood. Just like walks on the sidewalk. I think
Yeah,
that'd be pretty. I think that'd be pretty fun. But you said Cortana, and I have to admit, you've blown mine way out of the water.
yeah,
Um,
dude. Just think of everything you could do with Cortana.
like you could literally just like take over the world. Like Cortana is so stupidly advanced. I don't think there's anything that anybody could do to stop her.
Yep.
Like I just be like, just log her, plug her into the internet, be like, hey, Cortana, can you give me $1 billion? Like, yeah, sure. It's like Jeff Bezos, like bank account runs dry. Like it's like the world economy just collapses. You know,
Starts World War III.
it's like, hey, Cortana, can you deactivate all the nuclear devices? Like, yeah, I got you. It's just like, what can't you do? You know, that'd
Yeah,
be
for real.
amazing. That'd be exceptional. You have blown me out the water. I'm defeated in that regard. Um, looks like we're hitting the 40-minute mark, so I'm not going to hold you any longer. But let's close out. And uh, oh yeah, this is how it closed out. I forgot how it closed out for a second, but thanks for watching Mars Talks. Thank you for my good best friend Gabe. Getting on the podcast with me. It's been a
Yeah, it's
long
been
time.
a pleasure, man.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming for him. He's welcome anytime. He's built different. Uh, but it's been Mars Talks. Stay cool, stay Martian, and Gabe. I'm going to give you 10 words. You can only say 10 words to close us out.
Exactly 10.
Exactly 10. You say more than 10. I'm just gonna like I don't know. I'm gonna decapitate you or
Oh,
something. I don't know.
all right. Um,
I'm counting.
I hope you have a fantastic day. Goodbye. Yeah.
All right, that's 10. um, I guess it could be 9 or 10 depending on how you wanted to say goodbye. But
Oh
yeah,
shoot.
that's 10. I'm gonna count it as 10. Anyway, recording stops now.